My life dramatically actually changed in 2013 when I discovered a new technology called blockchain. I lived in a foreign country. I lived in Spain back then. And suddenly I was discovering this new technology, and I had to go all in. I had a successful company before, working out of Spain. Worldwide, I would say, had a worldwide reach, but not as I could see this new technology would have an impact on the world. So I said to my wife and my kids, we need to move back to Denmark. I need to take this new technology, go all in, and you need to be part of this journey. So that's where my first kind of life really changed. But then a whole new dilemma actually suddenly arose. I was stuck in time between how to balance between your work life and your private life, because my company suddenly took off. Very successful, even though a new technology, and suddenly I could see we created another problem, because I was stuck in choosing between spend time with my family, and also suddenly I had to maintain my business. It was thriving, I was flying. I gained 40 kilos, as you can see, like Nam was saying, I'm a big man. I gained 40 kilos. Pure stress, I'm flying plus 200 days a year. I'm away from my family. So why am I doing this? Why am I actually putting myself through this? I'm still happy. I'm always happy. So it doesn't change anything for me, but it still is a choice that I have taken. And every choice, like we just heard before, every choice has consequences. And from my point of view, I took a decision saying that I need to be all in. I need to not basically down prioritize myself, because I need to prioritize my company. And I also need to prioritize the time that I have left with my family. And that balance, from a founder's point of view, I think is very hard. You're constantly flying out. Events like this, amazing. You meet a lot of interesting people, but you also feel guilty when coming back to your family saying that this is amazing. You should be here. You can't be here, but you should have been here. And I feel like I don't want to tell them, because I feel guilty every time. Because suddenly I'm stuck in that you're stuck at home. I'm being constantly reminded that my family, my wife is taking care of the household at home, the kids, even though I'm lucky that I have grown-up kids. But I'm still feeling guilty. So how do I manage that whole thing? And we had a long talk actually with my wife about how can I navigate in this space? Because 50% of companies within 5 years actually fail. And for me, it was really hard to find a balance between justifying the amount of time that I'm spending away from them, but what happens if I fail? How will they react? And that's part of my first dilemma, the finger. Because at the end, would I actually lose my family? Would I lose my marriage? What will happen? And for me, that was, and still is, a very hard balance to try and figure out. But we have found an arrangement. I'm working very hard. I'm here 24/7, but I also have a team behind that I also need to work, and I need to tap in because of time difference. So it's not only just business private, it's also business within that. And for me, that challenge has been quite hard. Then for me, the next part of my dilemma is the toe. Because we were successful, we quickly actually got to market, we were raising initial kind of cash, but then suddenly the whole pandemic came, everything was shutting down. I have a co-founder who is in another country. I live in Denmark, he lives in the UK. Primarily my team is in the UK. I was isolated. So how do you suddenly have your business being a CEO in a different country where you're sitting, even though you can tap in, you can have your Zoom meetings? It was still very hard for me to basically be the CEO, because I felt like I'm not part of the day-to-day operation, even though they also weren't able to come together. But how could we still navigate as a company? But we came through. We could see rapid growth, and that was the the positive side of the pandemic, that we saw rapid growth. We were scaling insanely fast as a company, but everybody was remote. I've never met a lot of the persons that suddenly we hired into the company. I've just seen them on a Zoom. And we were again out now trying to say, we need to go to the next phase. We need now to raise another level of funding. Then the market crashed again. So I don't know if it's me or maybe it's just every time I need to raise cash, the market is crashing. But that's another now dilemma, because now you have scaled very fast, and I'm now sitting, and this is where the toe comes in, because my company is burning cash right now. We're making revenue, but I need to adjust to the new reality. I need to bootstrap, I need to cut my cost, and now I can risk that I need to fire people that I just hired. And how do I navigate in that? Because that's not me as a person. You know, I was naive in that sense, that I was hiring people because you're going to be here forever. You're part of my company. I can see this is going to change the world. You're going to be with me forever. Even though I know it's not true, but that was my kind of approach to it. So also as a CEO, suddenly I have to learn that I need to be willing to lose a toe in order to adjust my foot into the shoe and move forward, because it's not about me, it's about the company. And I need to put my own feelings aside and see what's the greater good for the company. As a founder, that's very hard when you have been part of this from the journey, from the start, hiring people, and suddenly see that you need to make them redundant or you need to find another solution. Again, I find that very hard. But it's something where you as a founder need to be willing to go all in and saying that this is what it's going to cost, because nobody is above the company. Then my last one is actually the heart. Because the heart is everything what you do, everything what I do it 110%. I need to have my heart in it. Sometimes your heart also gets broken, because it is heartbreaking when basically employees either are leaving your company, you have to fire them, they have to resign, you have to do something. For me, that is very hard, and I have, in the beginning, took it very personally. I took it actually in. Is it me? Am I doing something wrong? Could I have avoided this? Could I have changed something? How can I persuade them to still be? Or is it actually better for me to let them go? And hopefully they will come back, because they know what I stand for in my company. I've been true all along. But the thing that I think every kind of founder needs to ask themselves is that, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to go where this might take you, where your business might take you? You need to sacrifice. It's very naive, from my point of view, to think that you could just go all the way through without any kind of scars. But you need to always ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice the marriage, the finger? You know at some point you're going to lose a toe in order to adjust your company to move on. And how do you handle getting your heart broken at the end? Because either you will succeed, full with joy, you're going to sell the company, happy exit, but we also know that it's a very, very small percentage that often actually succeed. But why are we doing this? Why am I doing it? I'm actually not doing it for my own sake. And that's something I discovered going through this whole process. I'm not doing it for my own sake. I'm doing it for the next generation. I'm building every single day because I love what I'm doing. I love working with the big brands. I love seeing people thrive, see people grow. But what actually is driving me every single day is that what I'm now building with this new technology is the foundation for the next generation. Thank you very much for having me.